Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Anaris. It is Monday, November 8th, 2010, and it is the conclusion of MLG weekend down at Dallas, and this game is actually going to be a replay. It's going to be part 1 of 2 that I'm going to upload today. It's going to feature LiquidJinro spawning as the blue Terran, and aTnSocke spawning as the red Protoss. I don't know how many of you were able to watch the full series of MLG. I wasn't able to watch much of it live, but I did watch a lot of the replays. There's a replay pack you can download that has literally hundreds of games from MLG Dallas, and a lot of them are really, really good. I mean, some of you have probably watched some other tournaments. They've seen a lot of the games are just kind of one fight and it's over, but tons of these games from MLG Dallas were just so action-packed, back and forth, they're just intense. So make sure you look up the MLG Dallas replay pack and watch some of the games, as, I mean, there's no way I can possibly cast all these games, and, I mean, there's literally hundreds. But, for now, let's watch one of these 1 versus 1s here on Metalopolis. I've heard this one is particularly exciting. I watched the beginning of it a little while ago, and both of these players do get off to pretty traditional builds. Barracks went down at 10, Supply Lico at about 12, Gateway going down at 14, Supply Pylon went down around 9 or so. And so as these players do get off to a start, like I said, just make sure you go watch the replay video, or the replays from MLG Dallas if you were not able to watch it live from MLGpro.com. Anyways, yeah, both of these players are getting off to pretty traditional starts. The gas went down around the end of 13, beginning of 14 for the Terran player, and the gas for the Protoss went down around 15. So you can see it's just about complete. 3 probes heading over to that now, and we can see the income tab. You can see it's about 400 to 600, 550 thereabouts, and you can see the difference as Jinro has completed, or has switched over 3 workers to the gas, and it did take the Terran player to get a 3rd worker on for a second there, but that is okay, as it is still pretty early. It's not really going to make too much of a difference. However, this Marine is trying to kill this probe. Got about halfway done. Wasn't really able to finish it off, though. So anyways, for the Protoss, we can see that the Terran player is sending an SCV up here to scout. He sees the cybernetics core is just about complete, about 85% of the way there. Pylon going down. Can expect to see probably another gateway or 2 in the very near future, as he has only still gotten one refinery. So not really going to see any sort of tech play, it looks like, for the immediate future. Warp Gate technology is on the way for aTnSocke as he continues to chase around this SCV, which is proving to be quite a pain in the butt for him, as he is warping out a Stalker right now. Currently boosted Stalker on the way, so that's going to be just about complete. Changing the rally point down here, trying to catch this SCV as it is continuing to scout. Oh, I'm sure aTnSocke at this point is relatively pissed off. He was almost able to sandwich it in there for a second, but unfortunately was not able to do that as the Stalker came in just a second too late. SCV was able to weasel out of that. And there's a command center going down for LiquidJinro up here at the top of his base. Still not too much in the way of units. We can take a look at the army size, and we can see there's literally only 1 Marine here guarding the ramp, but really at this point the SCV was keeping the Protoss player busy. So the Terran was able to continue to just pump money into the economy, trying to get the save up for this command center, and eventually push out and take out this probe with a Marauder and a Marine now available for the Terran player. And once again, we can look at the production tab. Concussive Shells is on the way, and we have a Reaper about halfway done. So that's definitely going to prove to be very interesting. You can see it's rallied to the Xel'Naga Watchtower right now. I'm guessing it's primarily going to be just for recon, not going to see too much Reaper harassment, as he is only building 1 right now. He's not focusing on getting a factory to get the Nitro Packs upgrade, so probably not going to see too much in the way of Reapers, but for now we can expect to see some sort of scouting here, as the Protoss player has thrown down his expansion down at his natural, and we do have a Sentry, couple Stalkers, Zealot, so with 2 more gateways on the way. Second gas has finally gone down, so we can expect to see a little bit of teching in the near future. There goes a robotics facility down just between the 2 pylons there, and both players are just continuing to scout up. Of course, aTnSocke using his probe to keep an eye on the map, but this Reaper is getting ready to come in here, and I don't think he knows that there's an expansion there just yet. No, he does not, so he is going to come around the rear, realize there's an expansion, and probably head back. Well, no, I'm not too sure. He is rallied up to the mineral line right here, so we can expect to see, oh, looks like we have a bunch of probes transferring down here. But this Reaper is not going to be able to scout out too terribly much He did see the eastern portion of the base, but not really too much going on over there except for probes and gas and whatnot. All of the buildings are over here on the left. The robotics facility is just about complete. And there is a reactor going down for the Terran players, so we are seeing a pretty traditional Marine Marauder play. Second gas is just now being built upon by Jinro, and we can see Factory did just go down. So we can expect to see an infantry push here in the very near future, as he will have the support of this natural expansion, which he is doing a pretty good job of keeping on top of the mules. This probe is coming up here to the Xel'Naga Watchtower just in time to witness its own demise. Poor guy got there just a couple seconds too late, not able to get out in time. So there goes a probe for Sake as he continues to build up warp gate units down at the base of his ramp, right as is natural. Not really building too many buildings down here. A lot of times we'll see Protoss players build a kind of a wall. Not sure if that would work out too well for him though, as again with the Terran opponent, the Marauders would be able to pick that off pretty easily and outrange any sort of cannons that would go down. We are seeing instead an Immortal drop. This is actually a very good idea for Sake, considering the fact that there is an observer out. He is able to see the fact that there are a lot of Marauders in this build. Focused very heavily on the Marauders. So here comes the Terran player. Might see a force field trying to trap some of these units, but the force fields were not really able to get a whole bunch. They were able to kill one Marine, but most of these forces were able to run away as LiquidJinro is trying to actually take the high yield. Kind of a ballsy move at this point. He doesn't have that many army units, but we can see he is reinforcing with a lot of Marines and a couple more Marauders. There is an Immortal on the field now, so the only thing is there's not really that much energy for these sentries. We can see that they are all depleted except for one force field that was able to go down right there. So the Protoss is pretty much just going to have to engage this entire army straight up without being able to separate it. But it looks like there was more than enough to drive away the Terran player. He was not able to defend that and did have to cancel his expansion. So down here we can see that the Protoss is further solidifying his own natural expansion, getting the second geyser under control, and bringing in a robotics base. So we can expect to see Colossi in the very near future. There is still only one robotics facility. We can probably expect to see another production facility or two go down as the gas income does increase for each player. Oh, let's take a look at the income. We can see that both are about even, with Jinro having a tiny advantage in terms of monetary income. The gas is about even, 43 to 47 in terms of harvesters. Looking at units lost, we can see that Jinro has lost a considerable more quantity of resources than Sake, as well as a quantity of units. Looking over here, we can see that that Jinro was trying to do a scan to try to see if he can catch any observers, but the observer was able to get out just in time and avoid death. Of course, Jinro is still pretty much focusing in on these Marauders. He now has two more barracks down here at his expansion. We can see for the Protoss player, Colossus is on the way with extended thermal lance upgrade as well. Starport here, we can expect to see a lot of medevacs, so we're seeing a pretty traditional Marine Marauder medevac build with a very heavy emphasis on the Marauders side. So the Terran player, meanwhile, is sending an SCV down here. May scout, may try to drop an expansion. I do not know. He did lose the high yield. So the Protoss player now is going for this expansion down here. So we can expect to see a lot more production facilities in the very near future if the Protoss player is able to hold on to it long enough to be able to gain that economy. Now, meanwhile, I mean, both players are just macroing up. The thing is, LiquidJinro is actually trying to assert some map control. He's coming down here. I don't think he knows about this expansion just yet. No, it looks like, turns out he does know about this expansion, so he may try to make a move on it. He certainly does have a lot of forces down here. The bulk of his army is hanging out down here, getting ready to make a move. We can see there's another barracks going down, a couple more medevacs as well. No medevacs down here, probably won't see, well, looks like we will see a stem, as he does force Sake to cancel that expansion, and he is now running off of still just his own natural. Do have a second robotics facility down here. Both of them are now producing Colossi. I don't know if this is actually the best idea. Sake knows that there's a very Marauder-heavy army, so they will be able to take a lot more hits from the Colossi. Immortals, may be a good thing to mix in with this army, but we're going to see what happens as there are 2 Immortals, couple Colossi here, and couple Stalkers. Pretty good mix. We'll have to see, though, as we may see the Protoss player try to make a move out here. The Terran does realize that the Protoss is on the move, leaving 1 Marine here to keep an eye on the Xel'Naga Watchtower. Unfortunately for him, that Immortal had a few things to say about that as the Protoss continues to chase this force. However, the Terran is pretty well equipped at this point to handle this fight. I'm not sure what's going to happen if the red player is going to attack this expansion up here, which does have a planetary fortress now, or if he's actually looks like he's just going to retreat. I guess he just wants to bolster his forces a little bit more. There is still an observer right here for Socke running around the map, keeping an eye on what is going on, and we can see that there is now a Ghost Academy here. Very, very good idea for Jinro to get this. As you can see, there is 1 Ghost right now, not quite able to shoot an EMP. I don't think it's really going to be a big deal, though, at this point, as it looks like I did actually miss somewhat of a drop there. Didn't really have too much happen to it, though. I do apologize for that, but the Protoss player is once again moving out. There is 1 Marine over here trying to take out some of these probes, take out this expansion, and the Terran is going to reinforce this. Actually, it looks like he's going to fight from 2 different directions. He's sending some forces down here, and possibly some other ones to delay an attack on his own expansion. I do not know, but I think at this point, the Terran player realizes that his forces are separated, and he's going to have to send the bulk of them up here to stop an attack, possibly at the possibly up at 11 o'clock position, possibly in the natural. There are just enough Terran forces down here to do some damage, but I don't know what's going to happen. I think the Terran's going to win. However, there's a big engagement up here as all the force fields are blown for the Protoss player. As the Terran continues to amass his forces, you can see that he is moving back the bulk of his infantry up here to meet up with his Vikings and the newly created infantry and medevacs, which are actually sitting at a pretty good quantity of energy. Now, it's important to note there are no High Templars in this force, so there will be no feedback, no Psystorm. Protoss is relying purely on the Colossus ability to AoE down the infantry. However, what he's probably not expecting is so many Vikings coming over here trying to take off some shots. Even though they do have the extended thermal lance upgrade, these Vikings are still able to pick off these Colossi very easily while staying under the cover of the planetary fortress. You can see there's a giant push from the Marauders here as they try to take out a lot of these Stalkers. There is just not enough damage in this force for the Protoss player to hold off this assault, as a traditional Marine Marauder medevac force pushes through the Protoss, combined with the Vikings, who are able to easily pick off the Colossi that the Protoss player has chosen to employ. Now, we can see that the high yield has been taken by Socke, who does not have any probes at it at this point in time. However, he is trying to reinforce it with a couple of Colossi here, a few gateway units. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. I highly doubt it at this point, as once again Jinro is trying to expand while once again staying on the offensive. You can see he is pushing down here at the high yield. Protoss player getting a little bit out of position from the expansion, trying to stop these Vikings, but the Marauders are pushing up the top of the ramp. We can see Vikings are once again trying to take off some of the Colossus, able to knock off the shields of one of them, but we haven't seen too many more uses of EMP here as we did in the first fight. So it looks like the Terran's actually just going to hold up for a little bit. Probably realizes that assaulting it with this quantity of forces might not be the best idea. He'll probably have to use the Vikings to pick off the Colossi a little bit. Maybe at least drain their shields, maybe get in some EMP, I do not know, but it looks like at this point he is actually opting just to transfer over a bunch of SCEs to the mineral line. What there is a drop in the back of the Protoss base where the Marauders are trying to do some damage. The thing is that they only took out really one pylon, didn't really hurt the Protoss player too much, but there is a giant push here as we can fully expect to see the Terran try to make a giant push towards this high yield expansion. I don't think it's going to be able to be held by the Protoss player, as once again the Terran is trying to do another drop in the top of the base. However, he was using that great distraction to keep Socke on his toes, allowing Jinro to push over and to knock out the high yield expansion, which is now gone, and this very, very Marauder heavy force. I'll tell you what, I don't really know if Socke is going to be able to withstand another giant attack, as you can see right here that the Vikings and Marauders are doing another push right here. There's still a Ghost here with plenty of energy for a couple of EMPs. Might see one laid down right here, I do not know. We can fully expect a major engagement right here in the very near future. Lined up very well. Perfect EMP. knocked off the shields of all of the front line units, allowing the Marauders to steamroll over them very quickly. Meanwhile, the Vikings are up here picking off a lot more of the Colossi that were hanging out here. There's the GG from Socke as he does lose to LiquidJinro in Game 1 of this series. All right, let's go on to Game 2 and see what happens, and here's a dead Colossus.